Hello, everyone. I'm Diane Donnelly, and I am with the Donnelly Group of Keller Williams Flagship of Maryland. And we are joined with us today with Chris Breck, who is one of the partners of Charter Title. And today we're going to be talking about title insurance, what the heck it is, who is a title company, do you need title insurance, are you already covered? So we're going to do a deep dive into title insurance and talk with you about that. And this series was born out of COVID and people kind of living in a panic of what news do they believe, what don't they believe. The times were changing so quickly, so we just started to do some interviews like this to bring our audience, our friends, our family, into the loop of what's going on in real estate. So Chris, welcome today. We are thrilled to have you. We love you. You are one of our wonderful partners that we don't need any other title companies because you guys are literally everything. And we've been in the business in the resale side for over 10 or 11 years. And you are the only contractor that we still continue to use after all of this time, just because things change, whatever. But you guys have always been right there for us, answering questions, jumping in, even if it's not your deal. You help us out a great deal. So for that, we appreciate it. But Chris, if you would tell everybody about who you are, what you do, and a little bit about Charter Title, who is a local title company here in the Millersville area.
Well, Diane, thank you for that introduction. You brought a tear to my eye a little bit. So yeah, Charter, we've been in business. I've been in the business for 15 years. We started Charter about 6 years ago now. We're based in Arundel County, but we serve the entire state of Maryland. We have built our business just coming from contribution and being helpful and being a resource to the people that we work with. And our number one goal is to just create a smooth, wonderful, memorable settlement environment and make the home buying process easy for everybody that chooses to work with us.
Well, you really do that. And I don't know if I've ever asked you guys a question that either you didn't know right off the bat or went to your resource to get the answer. I've never been left hanging without knowing what the answer is.
Yes, we know what we know, and we know what we don't know.
Yeah.
And we know how to find the answer.
Yes, so thank you. So let's jump into it, Chris. First of all, if you've done a deal, if you've done a transaction, or if you bought or sold a home, you may or may not know what a title company is. So let's start really basic. What is a title company?
Well, there's three main functions that we serve. On the surface, and probably what most people see and remember, is the settlement itself. So we are responsible for bringing that stack of papers and explaining what everything means.
Stack of papers.
That's right. So that's how most people remember the title company. The next layer of it is the escrow function. So there's money from the bank, there's money going to the seller's payoff, there's money going to the seller, there's money coming from the buyer, there's money going to taxes, there's money going to the realtors. So all that money comes to us, and we're the trusted source to make sure that all that money gets where it's supposed to go. So before settlement, everybody will put a form together to just basically get everybody into agreement of where this money is going to go. The third function, and it's probably the most important, but it's the most behind the scenes, is title insurance. So what we're doing is guaranteeing to a buyer that the person they're buying the house from does in fact own it, and they don't owe anybody any money. Because unfortunately with liens that attach to property or with real estate, they don't attach to the person, they attach to the property. So a person could move on, but that debt stays with the house. So you need to make sure that stuff is gone before you buy a house.
That's what you just said is critical, that these liens will stay with the house. So if you don't have proper title insurance, you're in trouble.
Absolutely.
You're in trouble. And you may have no idea that that's even going on behind the scenes. And you wouldn't know that's going on because that's what your job is. Certainly buyers don't do title searches to find out if there's anything going on. So they lay that in your hands to be that trusted advisor to make sure that they're buying a home free of liens.
That's what we do. That's what we do. And we do it with a smile.
Do it with a smile, and always with a little bit of a sense of humor, which I love. When you are doing a settlement in Maryland, I don't know if this is true everywhere, but in Maryland, the buyer gets to choose who the title company is. And so the sellers sometimes ask me, who does a title company work for, or who do they represent, the buyer or the seller? And what is your answer to that, Chris?
Great question. Every state's different. In Maryland, the buyer chooses the title company and the buyer pays for title insurance. Some states it's the other way. You could say, I wouldn't say we work for anybody. I would say we facilitate the transaction for all of the parties. There's a function we serve for the lender. There's a function we serve for the realtor. There's a function we serve for the seller, and the function we serve for the buyer. Most importantly, like I said, the title insurance, we are guaranteeing that this person buying this property is going to own it free and clear and without issue.
Yeah. You guys are sort of like a repository, right? So we have all the buyer stuff going on with the buyer's agent. We've got all the seller stuff going on with the listing agent. We share information, some information we don't share, but all of that information goes to you as the, the holder of all the information. You take all this information and then do all of the research and then sort of report back, and that's closing.
Yes. Yeah. If you want to do like a football analogy, I always feel like the realtor's kind of the quarterback, but maybe we're like the offensive coordinator. We're in there on the helmet. Like,
yeah, that's right. That's a good way to look at it. Okay. So in keeping with the title of our topic today, title insurance, what is title insurance? You touched on it a little bit, but what is title insurance, nuts to bolts?
Well, let's talk about what it isn't first.
Okay.
So you have a term life insurance policy, let's say. Do you know how to get the money for your term life insurance? You have to die. You got to
kick the bucket.
Right. Same with homeowners insurance. Some loss has to occur for the insurance policy to kick in. Title insurance does cover loss. If there is a claim and there's an old lien and that was a $100,000 lien, that person needs to get paid. Yes, title insurance will pay it. So it does cover loss. But what title insurance does that these other type of insurance policies don't do is defense costs. Defense is one of the biggest things we spend our money on. Going to court and fighting off claims, going to court and fighting off old liens. Anybody can make a claim to ownership of a property. Anybody can try to put a lien on there. And if you don't have title insurance, you end up having to hire an attorney, going to court and deal with this stuff yourself.
Which is the huge, huge expense.
It's huge. I've been to court several times. I've had to sit there in Annapolis for 3 days to get on the stand and basically say, yeah, this person sold the house. They said I never sold my house, but because the person had title insurance, we went down there and said, yeah, you did. I was a closer. We had to go through everything.
Wow.
But without, what is 3 days of an attorney going to cost a buyer, And that was just
that could be a bankruptcy, right?
Yeah, that was just my time. Like who else knows what they had to go through to get there? So that's the biggest thing title insurance covers is defense. I can't stress that enough.
We have thrown around the word lien a couple of times. Can you define what a lien is? Give a couple of examples.
Yeah, so a lien, if you get a mortgage or a loan, in Maryland they call it a deed of trust. It's the same thing, but that's a lien on the property. The bank's going to give you $300,000, and you're promising to pay them back over the next 30 years. So that lien goes on title saying, okay, this person owes me money, and if you're using the house as oh my gosh, the words escape me.
Collateral.
Thank you. You're using
that's $5 for that that handoff, Chris.
Thank you. So this is going into the land records, basically guaranteeing that they get their money. So if for some reason you stop paying, this gives them the right to take the house.
Okay.
Now there's other liens that don't have foreclosure value that but it just sticks with the property. So let's say you or even a builder who built the house, the contractor that they used to put the roof on the property. If that contractor isn't paid, they put what's called a mechanics lien and said, I put the roof on this house, they owe me $10,000 plus growing interest. So we see mechanics liens as well. And there's liens from homeowners associations. If you don't pay your HOA dues, they'll file a lien against your property. So whenever somebody buys a house or when you sell it, that person needs to get their money first.
Right. So that's what I was going to say was if somebody put a lien on your property and you are going to sell your property and you're like, all right, I'm never going to pay this roofer. I didn't like the job that he did. The roofer puts a mechanics lien on your property. You decide I'm going to sell the house. I'm never paying him. What happens there?
Oh, that debt stays there. And a lot of times it has interest and it grows. So
yeah, right. There's no escaping that. What is the purpose of the title insurance itself to cover the defense and all of these things that you're talking about, all of the liens that you're going to go back and you're going to do a title search to find out if there's any liens against the property that won't be taken care of at the closing, or tell us more about that.
So there's two types of title insurance. Well, there's three types of title insurance policies, actually. So there's a lender's policy. When you buy a house and if you get a loan, the lender makes you buy a policy to protect them. Now that policy only protects the lender. It doesn't hold any value for you. As a buyer, you have the option to purchase a basic policy, which will basically cover from the day you buy the house back in time to make sure everything has been done up to that point correctly. So we do a 60-year search when you buy a house. We go back 60 years and make sure every time that deed was transferred, it was executed correctly. Every time a loan was taken out against that property, it was paid off and released correctly. And that the taxes are paid, there's no assessments, there's no anything else like that. Then there's the enhanced policy. Enhanced has a little more protection in there. Enhanced policies will have a future value as well. So they will cover things like post-policy forgery. There's a scam you might have heard about on Craigslist where somebody will record a fraudulent deed saying that they own your house. They will post pictures of it online, rent this property for whatever. You pay them, rent this property, down payment, $1 deposit. They get the deposit, person shows up at your house to move in. And you're like, what are you doing? This is my house. They're like, no, I just rented it. Like, no, you didn't. It's fraudulent. By this time, the person who created the deed is gone.
Wow, I've absolutely heard of that. And in fact, maybe it was 3 or 4 weeks ago, we got a call on one of my listings and they said, hey, is this house for rent also? And I said, no, it's not for rent. And they said, it's on Craigslist as for rent. So it's still going on. I mean, I remember the first one that happened to me must have been 8 or 9 years ago, and it's still going on.
Yeah. I say pirates still exist. They're just a little smarter now.
Bad people aren't good.
No.
They don't make me happy. Bad people don't make me happy. Okay, that's a really good example because that could easily happen. People fall prey to that all the time.
Yep.
And so that's a post-settlement fraudulent activity that enhanced policy would cover, as an example, that a basic policy would not.
Correct. And if any of your viewers are interested, I have a form that really outlines everything that's covered in a basic policy and then everything that's also covered in an enhanced policy.
Oh, good.
Anybody, you can email me. I'll give it to you. It just helps. I want people to be informed when they make the decision about title insurance. There's, it's a little bit bump in price. About on a $300,000 loan, it's about, I want to say like $300 more to get an enhanced policy. But there's a lot of things in there that can really.
That would cover 1 hour of defense right there, right?
Oh my gosh, yes. Around
that
here.
That was just in a conversation with the attorney.
Yeah. Your total policy is, like I said, on a $300,000 house, an owner's policy is going to cost you, enhanced owner's policy is going to cost you about $1,200. That's your first meeting with an attorney around here.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point. I had a question about that. So to be clear, lender's title insurance is required. Owner's title insurance is not required, but highly recommended. I've talked to 50 different agents because, insurance bugs me because you don't feel like you get something. And then once you use them, you get kicked off, right? Or your policy goes up or whatever. So I've talked to probably 50 different title companies or people who represent title companies. And every one of them has always said, do not do the enhanced policy. It's crazy. It's peanuts compared to what it would be if there is a claim. So across the board, everybody said, never skimp on that.
Well, right. For most people, the house you live in is the financial cornerstone to your retirement, to your life, to your kids' college money. You can tap into the equity to do anything. For most people, it's the most important asset they have. And to just leave it kind of dangling out there to chance, it's not me. I can't do that. I can't do that.
Yeah. That's a big risk for the largest asset that you have.
Absolutely.
Do you need owner's title insurance if you buy new construction?
Great question. We get that one a lot too. Yeah, absolutely. Number one, absolutely. Title insurance doesn't just cover like the structure, so maybe the house is new, but that land has changed hands several times.
Mm-hmm.
And you never know what happens, with the transactions there. The builder as well could have not paid somebody, and then there's a lien against the property for doing the work. And just things go wrong. Title companies make mistakes all the time. I have a deal right now. It's 13 years ago, the title company just did the deed wrong. And according to the deed, they own the lot and half of their house.
Oh man.
The small portion of the lot where their house was built on was not deeded correctly. So they can't sell their house. If you have title insurance, you're covered. We can fix it. If not, you got to deal with that on your own. So even though you think you're buying something, the title company could make a mistake and leave you hanging.
So why would, in that example, why wouldn't the bank's insurance, the lender's insurance, why wouldn't that be covered under their policy? Because the asset, the house, their asset, if they still have a mortgage on it, why wouldn't that be covered under a lender's policy?
It is covered for the lender. The lender gets their money.
Okay, that's a good point. So even if it's the lender is covered, that doesn't mean that you're covered because the lender is covered under their policy at all.
The lender gets a check. You get we're sorry.
Wow, I gotcha. Wow,
Yep.
that's a big difference. Okay, that's really good. Let me see. The other question is, we talked about title insurance and the cost, but can you break down the cost? Is it, for a $500,000 house, the title insurance is going to be more expensive because the asset is more? Is that correct?
Correct. So title insurance is based on the purchase price of the house. $300,000 purchase price. So let's say if you put conventional loan, you're putting 80% down. So that's a $240,000 loan amount. When you get a loan policy and an owner's policy at the same time, you get what's called a simultaneous issue. So you do get a break there. Since we're already doing a policy to protect the lender, you get a little break on yours. So an enhanced policy is going to end up costing you $1,200. You're paying $800 for the lender's policy no matter what. So the way I like to look at it, $1,200, right? Let's say the average person lives in their house 10 years. Let's say it's not your forever home. Let's just say it's 10 years. If you do the math, that basically comes down to the same price people pay to insure their phone. And your phone's going to be worthless. It's going to be outdated in 2 years. But in 10 years, you're going to need the equity in that house. So did I answer your question? Sorry.
Yeah, 100%. Is title insurance charged differently between title companies?
No. They're differently between underwriters, but every underwriter in the state of Maryland has the same rates. Okay,
that's good.
Yeah.
And then, Chris, I had one more question about that too. I lost my train of thought there for a second when you said that. What questions am I not asking that we should be asking?
There is ways to save money on a title insurance policy. So you can get buyer can get what's called a reissue rate.
That was my question I was trying to think of. Thank you.
So if the person that owns the property now has an owner's title insurance policy that's less than 10 years old, if they can provide a copy of that, then the buyer can receive a discount up to 40%.
That's huge. Okay.
Yeah. So if you're buying a house, make sure you ask your agent to ask their agent to find the owner's title insurance policy.
Great tip.
Yeah.
You're so good.
I try.
So what I understood was Craig told me that you were going to sing a song.
Oh, he did?
An outro. Yeah.
An outro.
So he said you were going to sing an outro when we were done. So can you start that now?
So we were talking about Billy Idol earlier, right?
Yeah, let's do some Billy Idol.
Want to do some in the midnight hour to grab more.
You are so good. Thanks for playing along. And do we have any questions, Kayla?
Not at this time.
Did you like Chris's singing?
It was great.
Thank you.
Chris told me, Kayla, that you were going to sing a little outro also.
Oh, no. We are not.
Duet for months. Come on. Are you ready?
No.
Kayla likes the behind the scenes stuff, Chris.
I understand.
Well, I appreciate it. Chris, we're going to put your information up here in a second. We're going to put some contact information so that if anybody has any questions, they can reach out to you. And as a reminder, if you would like some information about what is covered on a basic policy versus the enhanced policy, please email Chris at the information you see here on the screen, and he would be happy to send that information out to you. Also, if you feel that this information would be helpful to anybody in your circles, please feel free to share this video. We would greatly appreciate it. And we look forward to seeing you next week. And we'll talk soon. Chris, thank you again.
Thank you, Diane.
Take care. Bye, guys.